The rain was coming down in sheets, blurring the city lights into a watercolor mess. Another Friday night, another losing battle against my mounting bills. Every fare felt like a tiny drop in an ocean of debt. My daughter's school trip was next month, and the notice on my fridge felt more like a demand letter. I was tired, my back ached, and the constant worry was a knot in my stomach. That's when I saw her, standing under a flickering street lamp, one hand on her very pregnant belly, the other trying desperately to hail a cab. Her coat was soaked, and the look on her face was a mix of pain and panic. My heart went out to her. This was it, a simple act of kindness, a chance to feel like I was doing something right. I flicked on my indicator, ready to pull over. But just as I started to slow, a hand shot up from the curb just a few feet ahead of the pregnant woman. A woman in a designer trench coat, holding a ridiculously expensive-looking handbag over her head, glared at me as if I were her personal chauffeur who was 5 minutes late. She yanked open my back door before I'd even come to a complete stop and slid in, bringing a gust of wind and the smell of expensive perfume with her. "Airport and step on it," she snapped, not even making eye contact. She was busy wiping raindrops off her phone with a silk scarf. "Of course, ma'am," I started, but then I glanced in my rearview mirror. The pregnant woman was still there, her face fallen as she watched me. She looked like she was about to cry. "But ma'am, that woman back there, she's pregnant, and it looks like she might be in trouble." The woman finally looked up from her phone, her eyes cold and dismissive. She glanced back, then scoffed. "And not my problem. I have a flight to catch, a private jet, actually. It doesn't wait for anyone." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "But she was here first. It's pouring rain. It's the right thing to do." My voice was quiet, but I could feel a tremor of anger in it. Who was this person? She let out a dry, humorless laugh. "The right thing. Honey, the right thing is whatever gets me where I need to go. Look, I can see you're having a tough night." She gestured vaguely at my slightly worn car interior. "So let's make a deal." She pulled a thick wad of cash from her handbag and peeled off several $100 bills. She fanned them out. "Here's $500. That's more than you'll make all week. All you have to do is drive. Forget you ever saw her. Just drive." $500, the number echoed in my head. That was the school trip money. That was groceries for 2 weeks. That was a reprieve from the constant, suffocating anxiety. I looked at the money, then back at the pregnant woman in my mirror. She was leaning against the wall now, her hand pressed against her stomach, her face pale. My conscience was screaming at me. This was wrong. This was a test, and I was about to fail it, spectacularly. But my daughter's smiling face flashed in my mind. The thought of telling her she couldn't go on the trip was a punch to the gut. The knot in my stomach tightened. With a heavy heart and a sense of self-loathing, I took the money. "Airport it is," I said, my voice barely a whisper. I stuffed the cash into my console, feeling its weight like a block of lead. I pulled away from the curb, not daring to look in the rearview mirror again. The whole way to the airport, she talked and talked. She complained about her incompetent assistant, the terrible weather, the quality of the champagne on her last flight. "People are so entitled these days," she said at one point, completely oblivious to the irony. "They think the world owes them something. You have to be ruthless to get ahead. Kindness is for the weak." Every word was like a small jab, reminding me of the choice I had made. I was weak. I had traded my integrity for cash. I felt sick. The rain seemed to be washing away any shred of self-respect I had left. When we got to the private terminal, she got out without so much as a thank you. Just an instruction to keep the change, as if the blood money she'd given me was a generous tip. I sat there for a long time, the engine idling, just staring at the rain on the windshield. I drove home in a daze, the $500 on the passenger seat, feeling like it was burning a hole through the upholstery. I couldn't even bring myself to touch it. When I got to my empty apartment, the silence was deafening. I thought about the pregnant woman, alone in the rain. What if she was in labor? What if something happened to her, or the baby, because I was too greedy, too cowardly to help? The guilt was a physical weight, pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe. I couldn't sleep. I just sat in the dark, replaying the moment over and over. The next morning, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. I knew I had to do something. I drove back to the same neighborhood, my heart pounding. I didn't know what I was looking for. An apology, forgiveness. I just had to know. I went to the nearest hospital, my hands trembling as I walked in. I described the woman to the nurse at the front desk. The nurse's face softened. "Oh, you mean Sarah? Yes. She came in last night. She was in labor. A good Samaritan in a delivery truck saw her and brought her in just in time. She had a healthy baby girl about an hour ago." Relief washed over me so intensely, my knees felt weak. They were okay. A stranger had done what I should have. The nurse pointed down the hall. "She's in room 302, if you want to say hi." I hesitated, then walked slowly toward the room. The door was slightly ajar. I peeked in and saw her. Sarah, she was sitting up in bed, cradling a tiny sleeping baby. She looked tired, but so happy. I knocked softly. She looked up, and a flicker of recognition crossed her face, followed by a warm smile. "You're the cab driver," she said, her voice gentle. Tears pricked my eyes. "I am so sorry. I don't know what to say. I made a terrible mistake. I was selfish, and I can't stop thinking about it." I pulled the $500 from my pocket. "This belongs to you." She looked at the money, then back at me, her expression understanding. "Keep it," she said softly. "I think you need it more than I do. My husband is on his way. We're okay. But let me give you some advice. That money feels heavy now, doesn't it? The next time you have a choice between money and doing the right thing, remember this feeling. That's the real price." Her words hit me harder than any scolding could have. I stood there, humbled and ashamed, but also grateful. She had given me a second chance, a lesson I would never forget. A week later, I was back on the road, feeling like a different person. I was trying to make up for my mistake with every fare, being kinder, more patient. Then, I got a call for a pickup at the international airport. The main terminal this time. When I pulled up, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was her, the rich woman. But she looked different. Her designer coat was rumpled, her makeup was smeared, and she was sobbing. Her mountain of luxury luggage was next to her. She got in the car, not recognizing me at first. She just slumped in the seat. "Just drive," she choked out between sobs. Curiosity got the better of me. "Bad trip?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. She exploded. "Bad trip. My fiancé, the one I was flying to see, he cleaned me out, took everything. He was a con artist, drained our joint accounts, sold my assets. The jet wasn't mine, it was his. Now it's all gone. I have nothing. I had to beg a friend for a ticket to fly back commercial." She laughed a broken, hysterical laugh. "Can you believe it, me? Flying commercial." And then she finally looked at me in the rearview mirror. Her eyes widened. You're that driver." I just nodded slowly. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. The look on her face said it all. The realization, the shock, the humiliation. Here she was, with nothing. In the back of my cab, the very man she had paid to abandon his morals. The universe has a funny, and sometimes brutal, way of balancing the books. She was right about one thing. What goes around really does come around. I drove the rest of the way in complete silence. When we got to her destination, a modest apartment building I assumed belonged to a friend, she just sat there for a moment. She didn't have any money to pay me. I just said, "It's on me." As she got out, she looked back at me, her face a mess of confusion and despair. For the first time, I didn't see a monster. I just saw a broken person who had built her life on a foundation of greed and was now watching it all crumble. I drove away, thinking about Sarah and her baby, about the $500 that I had ended up donating to the children's hospital wing, and about the weight that had finally been lifted from my soul. Some lessons are cheap, and some cost you everything you have. I learned mine for $500. I have a feeling hers was going to be a whole lot more expensive. Thanks for watching. Remember to be kind to each other out there. You never know what battles people are fighting. Follow 4 more stories.